It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Vinny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
As always, you heard Ben Sutter say it so eloquently. Focus on Kentucky and other pertinent topics and other sports and music and comedy and food and I don't know what all. That's Terry Brown. I'm Vinny Hardy. We are Cast Talk Wednesday. How's it going, TB?
It's going good. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
It's going good, man. It's 90 degrees here in central Iowa, so I've been out doing yard work and doing a little grilling. So the summer is here, apparently. So.
Just it was no in between. It was it 2 weeks ago? It was cold and snowing.
Oh man, yeah, I know we had snow on Easter and it's been cold and man, I don't see how people live here, but here I am. So
well, you are back there, but a few days ago you was back home at the homestead again, back in Jefferson County, Kentucky, right? For a few days again.
Yeah, I went home, not for the Derby. I went home for Mother's Day, and it just so happened to be the Derby was taking place because 2 or 3 weeks ago I was like, oh, I'll just give me a cheap flight because that's what I've done before to go back home. And I said, man, $900 round trip. What is going on? Then I was like, oh, the worst time to try to travel into. So I was like, let me just drive in, and had a good time. Got to spend Mother's Day with my beloved mother, and that was great. And got to hang out and do things for her. So that was fantastic. Glad I got to do that, and I got to do some Derby events as well. So a really good weekend.
That's cool. And of course, as we mentioned before, Mama B is a legend. And people on Twitter agreed with that statement when we were talking about her a couple episodes ago. Did the sewing machine die while you were there? Or was it already, belly up?
So this sewing machine my mother had, because she sewed, she's crafty. And she's done projects with the girls, and she does all kinds of stuff. She loves to sew. She's crafty like that. And so this sewing machine, I knew she had since I was little. What I didn't realize, this sewing machine was from 1968. And she loves it. And it finally got to the point where they can't find parts, and there's no one out there that knows how to fix them.
Yeah.
So rest in peace to Mama B's favorite sewing machine, 1968 to 2022.
Man, 1968, that thing had put in a full career's worth of work by the time we were born.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That thing's 9 years older than me.
Yeah.
So
it done some stitching already by the time we came along.
So the funny thing is, she's now got to use her quote unquote newer sewing machine that my dad got her in 1995. So she's got a new one, and it's 27 years old right now. So
hey, the new one is half the old one's age. So I mean,
yeah.
Literally, the 54-year-old one retired, and you bring in a 27-year-old, a young 27-year-old sewing machine. Behind the ears.
These new sewing machines, you can do Wi-Fi and all this kind of stuff. She's simple, and so she does little craft projects and little things like that. So yeah, the sewing machine, it has been on its last leg for the last 15 years. Like it's been like, I don't know how this thing is still running.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what's in it. Is it got lead paint that's meant? Like, I don't know. But we're not getting rid of it.
We're gonna sound old, but they don't make stuff like they used to. I mean, you buy stuff now, 3 or 4 years later, it's breaking down. Appliances and stuff like that. They don't make.
Oh yeah.
I sound 75 years old right now, but They really don't make stuff like they used to.
No, my parents, they were Sears and Roebuck folks. And we had Craftsman, everything. Everything came through Sears. I mean, the washing machine we might have had those things 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it easy 30 years. And yeah, so Mama B, like, she didn't throw it out. We still have the sewing machine. It's still sitting there in her house. So we're going to hold on to it. But 1968.
Man, unbelievable. And speaking of the Derby, for people who say they saw what we saw coming, they got to be lying, because not many people saw what we saw Saturday coming.
No, the people that won on Rich Strike are the people that always you always throw some money on the long shots.
Mm-hmm.
But the overhead view of that race, I mean, it was a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm no race expert, but to be honest with you, usually when you see horses get pinned against that rail, that's a wrap. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you get that rail, ain't nowhere to go. But the jockey and the horse just swerved like it was meant to be. I mean, it was unbelievable. I was trying to explain to folks on the spaces that if you go to the Derby Museum, they've got a film about the Derby, and it's around you, like the screen encircles you, and it gives you this horse's view of the race. And I was trying to explain to folks when Rich Strike, I've been saying Strike it Rich, but Rich Strike.
That's what it did for the
Yeah.
owners.
With those horses, if you watch the race, there's that moment where there's a break where there's just barns to that one section, and then they turn for the grandstand, and it's just like when you turn, the screen, the crowd, it's just a wall of sound that hits you. A lot of horses don't do well with that. Like, it is a big deal to have 100,000+ people kind of focused, and Rich Strike, that was a heck of a race.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not, and to be a long shot with that, because usually the long shots that win, it's that jump, they get that jump out of the gate, right? They said that's how usually the long shots do it, is they get that jump, or they make that move really early. But Rich Strike had that closing speed, and it looked like those other two horses, that was going to be the thing. And then your eyes fall back. It's like, oh, wait, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And just unbelievable. I love it. I love the Derby. We talked about this last week. Some folks, I guess, it's a red badge of courage. I'm from Kentucky. I don't even like the Derby. Okay, good for you. Like, you want a freaking cookie? Like, okay, like, there's stuff that happens that I'm not a fan of, but I just let it go.
Yeah.
Don't yuck people's yum. But just explaining to folks, before the World Series, before Major League Baseball, there was the Kentucky Derby. Like, before Lord Stanley's Cup, before basketball was invented, James Naismith was like 16 years old.
Wow.
1875. Older than 17 states. There are only 33 states in 1875. And the folks, the Churchill family that donated the grounds, the grandson, it was Meriwether Lewis, Lewis and Clark. It was Clark's grandson that decided to have this race. And so we got the land from the Churchill family. They built those famous twin spires, and it's been run every year since 1875. And I get it. You don't like it, whatever. But for my money, I'm very, very proud of when my home state and my hometown put on a special show. And for Real Strike, no, Rich Strike. I've been saying this. Like I think I told you last week. when it comes to Derby horses, I've picked 2 winners in my lifetime. One in first grade, put name out of a hat, Swale. Unfortunately, Swale broke his leg and didn't make it to the Preakness. So,
No. Oh.
yeah. And then the second one was 2008 with Big Brown. Like I had to put somebody on Big Brown, even though he's a favorite. I was like,
Right.
I gotta go with Big Brown.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that we talked about all the overhead, all the veering and maneuvering through traffic like a Ferrari through tractor trailers. One time it was looked kind of pinned in where it was a little dicey. That last cut sounded kind of where there was a horse behind it to the right, and the one right to the left. The cut he made right in front of that horse to the right, that's the stuff to get you flipped off on the highway. When somebody cut in front of you like that, and that's a road rage situation, and that's what he pulled off, and that's the stuff he was doing. Just the little, Gale Slayer, just give me 18 inches of daylight. That's what Rich Strike was doing out there all through the field.
It looked like a Barry Sanders move. Like I've never seen a horse, and again, I am no expert handicapper and horse racer. I generally watch the Derby, and that's it. I may watch the other 2 Triple Crown races, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm at the track every day and I know about the furlongs and lengths and such and such and such. But it's just so rare that you see a horse kind of jump to the side like Barry Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this horse made a cut at full speed that, wow.
Yeah.
And so that's why I like that overhead view, because my eyes weren't on that horse at all.
Yeah.
You always watch the leaders, and then all of a sudden, what is going on here? And to win kind of going away, that to me is what makes this run special. Like they're all special, right?
Mm-hmm.
You win the Kentucky Derby, it's special. But there's these moments that stand out. Like we all remember, Secretariat kind of setting the stage for greatest. I know it wasn't the Derby, but the picture of the jockey looking back, winning by 31 lengths.
Ridiculous.
One of my favorite things that happens around Derby time is they have this year's winner superimposed with Secretariat's run, and you're like, wow, this horse ran fast and still would have been like 10 lengths behind Secretariat. So that's ridiculous. But you remember, so the horses that win in the mud and this, that, and the other. But this was just, I don't know how the horse is going to be Sportsman of the Year. We have to look forward to that with friend of the show, Mark Story, and the Herald Leader there in Lexington. And you got, I don't know if you consider a horse a sportsman, but you got to do something with this horse, because that was phenomenal what we saw on Saturday.
Yeah, sure was. So, congratulations to Rich Strike, and we'll see what happens in a couple weeks when they go to the Preakness. And my thing, now, everything gets analyzed. There's analytics for everything. You got experts. You got your Randy Moss. You got, friend of the show, Tom Leach is really, up on the horses, and he'll have people on, and they get these, people that run with the times. They check with the work that they do through the week, and they know the strengths and weaknesses of each horse. Well, this one gets out of the gate quick. This one's a closer. This one does this. This one does that. This one does better on this type of surface. They know all of that going in, and you still get something that nobody saw coming. This horse wasn't even in the race until Friday.
Right.
And,
that's the thing. This is a Disney movie. The jockey was out, the horse, the trainer, just, so it's absolutely ridiculous. Because again, a lot of the other long shots that have placed have basically been, this horse ran a bunch of race, but we didn't know this horse was going to run. Like this horse wasn't in the any of the build up, any of the lead up to the race, and it's just phenomenal. It was great.
they just threw it in on Friday like a player to be named later in a baseball trade. We'll give you this dude in about 3 weeks. He's down in Pawtucket at AAA. You can have him. We'll throw him in the trade. That's what happened with Rich Strike. Yeah, Friday, okay. Put him in, give him number 21. All right, just throw him in the gate.
And this wasn't like Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson. This would be Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson if Buster Douglas found out the day before he was going to fight Mike Tyson. That's the thing. Like, the trainer, the whole situation, they didn't enjoy any of the lead up. And it's like, hey, we got a spot. You up? Well, may as well get in it. And then the horse was feisty after the race, biting the they try to get him from the race over to the winner's circle. He's biting the rider, biting the other horse, trying to get feisty. He's like, I told y'all. And that's what I told the people. Yeah, that's what people. I was telling the people I was like, oh, he's in Louisville. He's like a young Cassius Clay. He's like, I shocked the world. I told you, I'm a bad man.
Yeah.
I must be the greatest. I was like, he's in Louisville, so he gets to do that.
That's right. Exactly. So man, that was great. It was great. Cool Saturday as always. Other stuff that was going on that weekend. Tennessee baseball came to town, ranked number 1 in the country. Hadn't lost a series to anybody all year long, and they limped out of Lexington, losing 2 out of 3. So that was good to see and much needed for Kentucky baseball.
Yeah, and that's the strange thing about Coach Nick Mangione's tenure is there are some highs, right? There are some absolute highs. This year they beat a lot of top teams.
Yeah, pretty much
just
all
this season.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the record, and it's just I don't know enough about college baseball to have an informed opinion and to say this is what's going on. But it's just weird to beat all the top teams and just not beat the mid and low teams. So I don't know, what this means for the team, but you can't keep doing this. You can't have a brand new part what they have, and you can't be fighting just to make the postseason conference tournament.
Right. One of the four, you can't. That's what the top 12 make it. You can't be 13th or 14th and looking
right. Yeah. Like that. That's not going to work. I get it. SEC baseball is very competitive. National champions left and right. Mm-hmm. Even teams aren't good at anything else, like South Carolina and Vandy are good at baseball. Mm-hmm. That's Vandy's low national championship is baseball. So, and that's just a few years ago. So I don't know what the play is, what the next move is going to be, but and they've got some work ahead of them to get to the postseason tournament.
Yeah.
But if the Cats miss, I mean, it was great beating Tennessee, but this is not going to bode well moving forward.
And they close out. There's only 2 series left, and one of those is like the aforementioned South Carolina that you mentioned. And then they also have Auburn, so it's not going to be easy as far as that goes. As far as if you're gonna rise up and bite somebody, I'm glad it was Tennessee because
beating Tennessee at anything is great. I'm not trying to downplay that. You beat Tennessee, that does my soul well.
Yeah, because they love the 2 9-3 seasons. Both of those teams have lost to Tennessee in football.
Yeah.
And so y'all's best teams ever still can't beat us. Blah, 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 blah. And so they can crow about that. And so I came back with them. Well, our worst team ever in basketball still won in Knoxville, which they did. The 9-16 team did win in Thompson-Boling Arena. And here, y'all's best baseball team ever came to Lexington and lost 2 out of 3. So I can play that game too because they love to play that game because starting with the Tennessee's beat Kentucky more than anybody. Well, they played 1,500 times more than anybody else, too.
And
So I can play that little tit for tat, too, if that's what they want to do.
during that broadcast, whatever it is, I can't. Yeah, it was game at Tennessee. Jimmy Dykes. I generally like Jimmy Dykes. I know Jimmy's jet. That's a thing. Guard your yard. Guard the nail. Hit the nail on the head with the guard. I don't. He's got his little Jimmyisms. That's fine. But you can't keep that's not telling the whole story. Tennessee is beating Kentucky more than you got to tell the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to tell. Yeah, if Kentucky's beat Tennessee, as much as I can find, I've done just a little bit of research, more than any other college teams ever. Tennessee has lost to Kentucky 158 times.
Yes. Ridiculous.
Come on. They won 75, but what?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So congrats to Kentucky baseball for rising up. We did have a couple guests, or one guest scheduled for this evening, but she's under the weather. Camille Gear. She was in Kentucky for a little bit at WYMT, which was kind of the hometown news outlet for Southeastern Kentucky there in Hazard, where I grew up. And she transitioned to Iowa like you as well. So rescheduled. She's going to try to join us next week. She's gotten ill and just message and just said, I hate to do it, but I'm just feeling like crap. And could we reschedule for next week? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So got Camille coming on next week so we can get TB and Camille talking, transitioning from Kentucky to Iowa. I think she's a UT alum as well. So I'm still going to give her some grief about what happened on this baseball field with Kentucky, Tennessee. I'm gonna backtrack and work that in.
Oh yeah.
And tentatively got our guy, friend of the show, Muhammad Ahmad, who came on from Montana. He's back in Bowling Green now, and looks like next Wednesday is going to work for both of them. So y'all tune in next week. We got two great guests coming up to chop it up with us on Anchor and Spreaker, where you can listen, or Roku, where you can watch. Go to BS3, type in BS3 TV in the search, or you can go to BS3, the web link now, and watch us live too. Click on demand and scroll down to sports, and you'll find us right there, bs3tvlive.com, and we'll pop up right there. And it's got like 10 or so episodes just on rotation. You can just scroll through and find whichever one you watched. The most recent to previous 9 or 10 are all on there. And thanks again to Ben Sutters, as well as everybody else. We're proud to be part of the network and our Facebook and Twitter. And you got our Twitter information scrolling right on the screen right there. So all kind of good stuff going on, man.
Yes, sir.
One, hate to bring up the bad stuff, but can't gloss over it. C-Rod, Chris Rodriguez, had a DUI over the weekend, so that was kind of hate to see that from him. So
yeah,
hopefully he bounces back from that. And
got to be some consequences to that.
Yeah, because he's an upperclassman, been around a long time.
Yeah, he's that dude that's got to set the table. So
whatever
the legal system is, he's got to get back in everybody's good graces. There's got to be a suspension, I would think.
Yeah, and the first game they're not playing anybody major. You think maybe he doesn't suit up for that one. We'll see. Because you got Florida week 2 down at the Swamp. Yeah, hate to see that. And like you said, hopefully you gotta learn going forward to make better decisions, especially from him, senior, been around a while, and not just a knucklehead, and we saw it from the coach who's no longer on the program, the
right
coach, just went through this, last year. So we'll see what Stoops and company do. Staying with football, Will Levis getting crazy buzz, just rocketing up the mock drafts and people kind of, who is this dude from Kentucky based on what he did against Georgia? And one had him projected top pick, pulling a Tim Couch going number 1 in the draft next year. And I mean, you got to have a good year to validate it, but it's cool to see him, getting that kind of buzz. Better than not.
Yeah, and I'm happy about it. Some folks, again, the negative mindset with Kentucky football. Well, we got to wait and see, and I get that to some extent. But if you've been paying attention, these kids that are playing right now have no bearing on what losses you watched in the 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
Like the two things don't have anything to do with each other. Will Levis absolutely has the physical tools. He's got the mental tools to be a top quarterback. I don't know about the number 1 pick because it kind of feels like Bryce Young in Alabama. It's his to lose, and the kid at Ohio State. Can't think of the Ohio State.
DJ Stroud or something like that.
Yeah, so those guys will probably put up flashier numbers. But that being said, Will's going to have his opportunity against Georgia, against some SEC folks, and putting it on Louisville at the end is a great way to lead up to Heisman and all that kind of stuff. So I think we can have that conversation because folks, and they're not even Kentucky folks, will tell you that Will he's got the tools.
Yeah.
And you just hope the season goes well and he's able to do that. Because the draft stuff will come. The draft will take care of itself. As you and I talked about the draft last week, a lot of cats going, but it's more reload. You lose a bunch of draft picks, and now your quarterback's talking about being a top pick in the next year's draft. That's uncharted territory for Kentucky. And it's been that way the last 4 or 5 drafts.
And theoretically, they're bringing in more weapons for him. Last year was it was Wandale, and that was kind of it. Josh Ali got hurt, and it was Wandale caught 100 passes. That's Marvin Harrison type stuff. And to do it in a 12-game season. So it was get the ball to Wandale. Now you got some guys that can, in theory, spread it around and make it more difficult to see where he's going to throw because everybody knew he was going to Wandale. You get Keaton Upshaw back at tight end, who should do good. So we're closer to it than a lot of these people who are throwing shade. Will Levis, if he goes ahead of this and that, but that's still that Kentucky football reputation nationally. People just see that.
Right.
Will Levis thinking, what in the world? But I mean, last year was his first year as a starter because he didn't get any clock at Penn State, and if he did, he was pretty much running. So he plays 1 year. Now he's back for another year. It wouldn't surprise us to see him make a big jump off of what he did last year. And don't let the game slow down to him. Where you actually see things before they happen now because you got experience and all that. Don't let the game slow down. So could he be number 1? I don't know, but could he definitely make a jump off of a very good year last year where you lead a team to 10 wins and a Citrus Bowl win? Absolutely. It's not that far-fetched.
If you've seen top-ranked quarterbacks come from North Dakota and whatnot, so why not Kentucky?
Yeah. So those –
I do think it's going to be hard to beat out like Bryce Young and some of those guys. But that doesn't mean he can't be a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Because teams are always looking for quarterbacks other than this draft. Teams are always willing to move and shake to get a quarterback. So,
absolutely. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to see how it plays out, and if just go in and handle your business, like you said. All the other stuff take care of itself. Those projections, that draft, boards, and Mel Kiper and Todd McShay, all that'll shake out after you go win 9, 10, 11 games, challenge Georgia, finish second in SEC or better. If you do all that kind of stuff again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sticking with quarterbacks and quarterbacks named Terry Wilson getting a look with my Dallas Cowboys. So they're bringing him in at camp. So that was cool to see. Touchdown Terry get an opportunity. He transferred out to New Mexico, but he came back to Kentucky, did all his pro day stuff, all his workout stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
And now my squad, my boys are bringing him in. So, hopefully he can latch on and impress some folks down there. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, you know how I feel about the Cowboys. I've been very, very public, very loud about how my feelings for the Dallas Cowboys. But I am going to root for Terry Wilson because everybody loves Terry.
That's right. Yes. Yes. You can even though he got the star in his helmet, you can still root for him because if he was in San Francisco, he'd already supplanted Jimmy G. So,
Man, you see Jimmy G's got a Subway commercial?
Yeah.
It makes me mad, man. Like, come on. What are you doing?
And you one of those type. See, that's time you could be practicing. Over here making these commercials. Is that what you?
That just shows you how much we love quarterbacks. He's got Subway, and he's not very good. He's good looking. All I got to say is Jimmy G has got to be the best teammate ever. Because he's garbage, and the 49ers players, they love that dude.
So it's official. He's staying.
I have no idea. I don't know what Lynch is doing there in San Francisco. You can't bring Jimmy G back. Like you can't do that. Because and I'm assuming the players know, like, a lot of those fans, if we had just a serviceable quarterback the last 3 or 4 years, maybe a Super Bowl win. Like, we played well enough to beat the Chiefs.
Nope.
Until he threw that third down pass with his eyes closed.
So it was
like, you convert that third down and you take 2 more minutes off the clock. That's a wrap. Not even Mahomes can do that.
Right.
That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. 1 third down conversion. And against the Rams, it was only a 3-point win.
No.
Had opportunity this year. So I don't know. I don't know what they do. And Debo don't want to be there, but my thing is, come on, Debo. You pay the man. The NFC is wide open. Let's get it done. But I don't know what they do with Jimmy G. Because there can't be a market for Jimmy G. There can't be a trade market.
What? Can't even go to Jacksonville. Houston, who they got? The Texans. The Bears got Justin Fields. They got optimism there. So, Pittsburgh.
Maybe Pittsburgh. He's a stopgap.
They just drafted Pickett though from Pittsburgh. They just drafted Kenny Pickett, so never mind.
But maybe Jimmy G is a stopgap in Pittsburgh. I can't see them trading him to Seattle. That's not gonna work.
Well, that's ultimate disrespect. Like, here's so little we think of you. We're gonna trade you in division to Seattle because we're not even worried about you beating us playing for Pete Carroll. That was,
So I don't know what's shaking with the 49ers front office. Just like I don't know what's happening with the Lakers front office. Jeannie Buss gave an interview. I don't know what they're going to do. You can't run it back.
He tagged you in this tweet. I was tagged in. The Lakers' next coach odds. Let's see here. I just hope it drags out. I just hope it takes forever. October, November, they still don't have a coach. For the gambling folks, for the entertainment purposes only, Terry Stotts plus 200, Doc Rivers plus 300, Mark Jackson plus 400, Darvin Ham still looking for his first opportunity plus 500, Steve Clifford plus 600, David Vanderpool, I don't even know who that is, plus 700. Adrian Griffin, plus 750. Nick Nurse, plus 1,000. Quinn Snyder, plus 1,200. Jay Wright, plus 1,600. John Calipari, plus 2,000. And the Van Gundy brothers closing it out. Stan at plus 4,000. Jeff at plus 5,000. That's just a list of some of the potential, maybe next men to lead the purple and gold of your Los Angeles Lakers.
Off that list, it's not going to be Cal. Cal's not leaving. The Van Gundy brothers. What have the Van Gundys done to engender being talked about in these circles?
Stan got to the finals against your Lakers.
Oh, that's right. He was coach of the Magic then.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good, I guess.
That was Dwight Howard and not much else.
Yeah, Dwight Howard and them guys. But Quinn Snyder, no, man. Although he's probably ready to get out of Utah. He's been there a long time, too.
He has. He really has.
So I don't even know who Steve Clifford is.
He was at Charlotte and Orlando.
David Vanderpool? I don't know who that is.
I don't either.
Adrian Griffin? Sounds like he was a player at one point, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick Nurse.
He won a title.
Man,
he got a ring. He can flash that ring.
Can we just admit that the Toronto Raptors winning is the most outlier of all outlier champions in NBA history? Like, I can't think of another team where you're just like, oh, they won? Okay, cool. And you go on about your business. Like, you had Kawhi for 6 months, and that was it. Congrats to you, but
they the North, though. They the North. and Clay got hurt, and did KD get hurt too? So it was a bunch of hobbled up Warriors, and they had Kawhi.
And Boogie got hurt. And look, you can almost asterisk just about every championship and be like, if this, but
that's true.
The Raptors are just the outliers of outliers because, I've defended your Rockets and how people are very dismissive of those 94, 95 titles. But they had dude. They had a culture. They knew what they were doing, right? Like, but Toronto's just like, what? Oh, yeah, they did win. They're at the top of my list where if I told you in 10 years this team won a championship or at least played for a championship, you'd be like, what?
You just hit us with the 30 for 30 intro. If I told you that this team won a championship in 2010, 2020 or whatever, you would this is a 30 for 30 in the making.
Like, oh, okay. And they won a championship, and at least, like I said, the Rockets won. Everybody knows Hakeem. Like, he's the Rockets are him. The MVP on that Raptors team was Kawhi. And when the season's over, he was like, I'm out. I'm dipping. Like, I'm only here 6 months. Like, that's just the most random thing. At least, the Mavericks won their one. Okay, you got dirt, right? Okay, that makes sense. But the Raptors just rented a dude.
And they beat Shaq and D Wade, which is at least they beat the full strength Heat, compared to the Warriors being all hobble. I mean, none of that's beyond everybody's control, but
right.
The optics of it all look better for
And I'm just and that's the thing, and I don't know why I'm following a lot of Toronto Raptors fans, but look, man, y'all got to stop trying to make Pascal Siakam like and Fred VanVleet. Look, man, no.
It's a bona fide twosome.
Like, they got this championship DNA. Get out of my face with that. Like, get out of my. Come on, man.
They try to make Nick Nurse an elite coach off of that too. I mean, they pumping everybody. They shoving everybody down your throat. Pascal, VanVleet, Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse was a hot name.
Look, when I say Toronto Raptors, what's the first thing pop in your head?
Probably still Vince Carter.
Probably Vince Carter in the 2000 dunk contest when he said it was over. Like, that to me, there's just moments when you think of teams. I still think of Vince Carter with the Raptors. Like I just do.
Yeah.
Or Damon Stoudemire with the Raptor dribbling on the jersey, that kind of thing.
The Barney logo.
Yeah,
T-Mac, Air Canada Center when they first,
yeah,
we date ourselves, but still, that's what's.
I'm not thinking of anything. I'm not even thinking of that championship.
Mm-hmm. Chris Bosh, I didn't even think about him.
Yeah. Whatever, man. Like I don't know why it aggravates me so, but I'm like, dude, you are the Toronto Raptors.
Butch Carter.
Like you got that championship. That's great. Good for you. I'm happy for you. Yay. But come on, man.
Butch Carter was Sam Mitchell up there? No, Sam Mitchell was in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh well. Congratulations to the Raptors. Oh.
After we poo-pooed their accomplishment.
Dismissed them and then okay, congratulations. Man, that's we both tweeted about this, whoever made this bogus running backs list with
okay.
this thing, top 25 running backs with Rondé on there instead of Tiki. This is ridiculous, but
let's get to, and people look. I'm sure that people are like, just make something to talk about, right?
Yeah, clearly.
But top 25 running backs of all time. First off, Tiki Barber at number 8, and you got Ronde Barber on the old display here.
All credibility is lost right there.
Right. So number 1, Barry Sanders. Okay. I mean, all right. Number 2, Walter Payton. All right, cool. Number 3, Emmitt Smith. No shade to Emmitt, but any list of running backs I get to, and Jim Brown's not in your top 3, it's invalid. Mm-hmm. Like it's just automatically invalid. And then my eyes fall down, and this thing has got Jim Brown at number 12.
12.
There ain't 11 dudes play football at the running back position better than Jim Brown. There just hasn't been.
Mm-mm.
So this person's got Frank Gore at 5. Yeah. Frank Gore was a great back for San Francisco. He's number 3 all time. But this is just the situation where this dude just got some numbers. But even as a 49ers fan, I always thought he was solid. But it wasn't like, I got to go see what Frank Gore's going to do today.
Yeah.
Like, my highlight for Frank Gore is him chopping it up for 4 or 5 yards between the tackles. For my money, he's one of the best between the tackles runners in NFL history. Just dudes between the tackles. Because in the 49ers offense, when they had Alex Smith, that was basically what they did. It was just give it to Frank like 30 times a game, which how he's still playing, I don't know, because that dude got chewed up when the 49ers weren't very good, right? Mm-hmm. I was glad he got to be on that Super Bowl team. But Frank Gore at 5, Earl Campbell at 6, O.J. Simpson 7, Tiki Barber at 8, Tony Dorsett at 9, Mike Allstott at 10. So this person allegedly knows football and is going to put Mike Allstott ahead of Jim Brown. And then Paul Hornung. And look, I love Paul Hornung.
Yes.
He's a Louisville guy.
Yes.
He's a Heisman Trophy winner. Yep. My dad was a big Paul Hornung fan because Paul Hornung played at Flagey, an all-white school. And like during pickup games, like he would come to Smoketown, the black area of town, and play pickup games with the like. So my dad was a really big fan, and when he retired from the Packers, like he's still in Louisville doing the thing. Love Paul Hornung, but at 11, ahead of Jim Brown.
Yes.
But Marshawn Lynch, I love me some beast mode. Love me some beast mode. But no, that's too high. Clinton Portis, that dude, if you look, he's got some numbers, but pretty forgettable. I remember his get-ups that he would wear during interviews more than anything on the run.
Yeah.
Larry Sonka.
Hall of Famer, but I mean, he ain't.
And then Roger Craig misspelled, Marshall Falk at 17, Jerome Bettis, Adrian James misspelled, Eric Dickerson at 20.
Mm.
Gale Sayers at 21, Armand Green at 22, Fred Taylor, who I think is underrated, at
Yeah.
23,
Mm-hmm.
Deuce McAllister at 24, Mark Ingram at 25.
So you can take Deuce and Mark and Allstott off of the list completely, and Portis.
Where's LaDainian Tomlinson?
And
I would put Sean Alexander on this list before Deuce and Mark Ingram.
Amon Green.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know numbers don't mean a whole lot because Jim Brown's career numbers, I don't even think he's barely in the top 12 at this point.
But they
still,
played 12 games a season.
Yeah.
And he only played like 8 or 9 seasons.
So and because he quit because Art Modell said, "You trying to be in Hollywood? I'm a fine." He said, "I'm out," and that's how he did it. He was filming The Dirty Dozen. But
I'm gonna
Jim
go make
Brown,
a movie with Raquel Welch. I'm gonna go on and do that. So
Jim Brown, like I said, you get to 3 and you don't have Jim Brown on there.
So he played 8 years, 9 tops. Add 32 to 36 more games on his career and let him have a 16-game season. And then see what we're talking about. Put 32 games. That's 2 more seasons if he play, if you have a 16-game season, add that to Jim Brown's totals and then come back to us.
But no LaDainian Tomlinson, who's number 7 all-time rushing. No Curtis Martin. Now, Curtis Martin is the one guy I always forget about. I will be watching something on running backs, and I'll be like, Curtis Martin. And you look, he's number 6 all-time rushing. Like, oh, okay. Like, but totally forget about his career. And there's no knock to him, but I just totally forget about it. But yeah, Eric Dickerson, like Tony Dorsett, I didn't realize he
got some yards. I mean,
he's number 10 right now. Marshall Falk.
Franco Harris, you want to bring him back?
Thurman Thomas. Oh, I didn't realize Fred Taylor was number 17. And Steven Jackson, a dude I forget about, Steven Jackson, is at 18. But still, it's not about numbers with running backs because Gale Sayers is that dude without being that dude.
Mm-hmm.
And this reminds me of a conversation I was having on the Twitter streets talking about your all-time NBA point guard and how it's pretty much Magic is point guard 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, where do you go? Like, it was basically in the context of we're watching CP3 do some pretty amazing things. Where does he fit?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's Magic, Isaiah, Steph, and I hate to put Steph on that list simply because he's not the prototypical point guard as I understand the position. But the playmaking he does because of his shooting, you can't overlook that.
Yeah.
Steph, CP3, and then I've got Jason Kidd. That's my 5.
Mm-hmm.
With Oscar Robertson right there, probably at 6, and then you go Steve Nash, and at that point I get to John Stockton. So the thing is, this guy was like, "Well, you got to put Stockton top 2 or 3," and it's true. He's got more assists than anybody. He's got more steals than anybody. Probably the assist may never be broken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And his point to me was Stockton broke Magic's assist record in 12 seasons. And I said, Magic set it in 12 seasons, and he wasn't even the full-time starting point guard until year 3. He was still playing with Norm Nixon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Magic was not the point guard. Magic averages his career is 11.1 assists per game. That's tops. That to me, de facto number one, right? Like I'm just de facto whatever. But numbers don't tell a story, and that's the point I was trying to make to this guy was, Michael Jordan is not the all-time leading scorer,
Right.
And that's not something we use. Although Kareem should probably, but we don't use that as a barometer. Like, Karl Malone's number 2, but ain't nobody fighting for that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Numbers don't tell the whole story when it comes to basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Russell's got more championships that he was a part of than Michael Jordan. So that's not a barometer either. But it's something about the eye test.
Yeah.
It's just something about the eye test where you say, okay, Magic is 1. Right? And I think Isaiah is 2.
Mm-hmm. The Jim Brown's, like when Magic's career got cut short, with the HIV. So he was 32. Yeah. Theoretically, he probably plays another 5 or 6 years and add that on to what he already did. Like if Jim Brown had chosen to play, which he didn't, but he wasn't even playing 16-game seasons. Add that, and if he plays another 4 or 5 years, so you can kind of estimate what could have been.
And that's why numbers, particularly for basketball, just don't work.
Mm-hmm. I mean, John Riggins got 11,000 yards rushing. He should be knocking a few people out. I thought Liz Robbins loved the puck. Somebody put, John Riggins and the Isaiah Thomas gif where Isaiah was talking about he should have been on the dream team on The Last Dance, where he said, "I met the protocols."
Yeah.
And that's where somebody put John Riggins saying, "I met the protocols to be on this list." And I saw Love the Puck retweeting that because, she's all DC everything. And John Riggins I hate the Redskins. I hate the 49ers too, but, John Riggins deserves some consideration.
Yeah.
And going back to your Niners, as far as highlight runs, the Garrison Hurst run to beat the Jets, the 96-yard run, I hate them, but I still remember that play.
Broke his ankle on that play.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's been a push.
Marcus Allen ain't on the list. Franco Harris ain't on the list. I mean,
right, and it's hard again to just use hardcore numbers.
Yeah.
Right. It's hard to use numbers because the NFL has it's changed obviously, but more games.
Yes.
Like, adding that extra game to me, it devalues the 1,000-yard rusher. Like you only need like 70 something or 50 something yards. Like it's not what it used to be.
Yeah.
Like 2,000 is still the goal, but OJ getting to 2,000 a 14-game season is ridiculous. And I know we can't talk about OJ, but
Jim Brown only played 12-game seasons. So
yeah,
come on, give him 4 more seasons, 4 more games a year.
So you can't talk about numbers.
Yeah.
A lot of this is eye test. And for me, when I talk about the greats, and whatever you want to say when it comes to NFL running backs, if you want to go with Barry as your 1, I can't argue with that. If you want to go Emmett as 1, okay. Walter Payton as your 1, okay. Jim Brown is your 1, all right.
Nope.
But after that top 4 or 5, to me, there's a drop off. That's your Mount Rushmore. If you want to have Barry, Emmett, Walter, Jim Brown, that's your 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else is after that.
Yeah.
Because those are the 4 to me that were just different. They were just different. It gave you a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I know you're probably going to lean Emmett, and that's great. Like I've got no argument against that. He was phenomenal. He played with a lot of great players, but that's no knock on him. Yeah. He got the job done because there was a couple of games I know where it was give Emmett the ball and he's going to win it for us. Even though we got Troy, even though we got Michael Irvin, even though we got Alvin Harper and Jay Novacek, Johnston, Moose, you blocking, and it's going to be Emmett left, Emmett right, Emmett up the middle.
Yeah.
That's
Second Super
ratified
Bowl
it.
against Buffalo. The game against the Giants with a separated shoulder, and Lawrence Taylor is older,
Yeah.
but he was still out there on that field. And that was when they were up and coming, becoming. I definitely like Emmett and definitely lean that way, but I look, I love Barry too because I always kind of broke it down as I think Emmett was a more complete back. Yes, he had the great offensive line. He was better, I think, catching passes out of the backfield than Barry, and I think better picking up blitzes too. But we're talking about running back when the ball is handed to you, you go from point A to point B, just strictly pure running back. That you can't deny Barry in our lifetime. We didn't see Jim Brown, but Barry, well, I'm gonna give you the ball 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, 11 guys trying to rip your head off. You're on a crap team and you do what you do, pure running back.
When I saw one of those Barry Sanders, they always have those kind of retrospectives, and his offensive lineman in Detroit said they had blocking schemes where they didn't account for everybody because that was Barry's dude and he would make them miss. I have never heard that for another running back where it's just, yeah, he'll take care of it. Like that to me is why I put Barry at number one because I've never heard that before. Like we just didn't block some dudes because we thought Barry would take care of it. That to me puts it at another. Like that to me is just that is like what are you talking about? So, but again, if you say Emmett is your one, I'm not fist fighting. That's fine. Walter's your one. Again, not going to fist fight you. Well, I'm not going to fist fight anybody anyway. But I'm not going to fight. You go with Jim Brown. Those are my four. Those are just the four to me that are head and shoulders above everybody else.
And you look at the film.
That's just how I see it.
Tampa Bay's defense at that time, Hall of Famers at every level. Warren Sapp on the line, Derek Brooks, linebacker, John Lynch back there at safety, Rondé Barber, who will probably eventually be a Hall of Famer. And we saw how silly he made those dudes look. I'll never forget the clip of your guy John Lynch coming to meet him in the hole and not touching anything. As Barry broke a big 80-yard run. So and
the thing about Barry is, he would give you some -2, -3, 4-yard run, 5-yard run. But the thing is, you knew it was coming. Like you just knew, okay, just keep watching, and he's gonna give you something. His last season at Oklahoma State, if you ever look at that, it is obscene. It is obscene the numbers he put up that last year at Oklahoma State. Like when we start talking about great college running back seasons, like that to me is the gold standard. Like that was ridiculous.
Like you said, the blocking scheme was to let a guy come free because Barry will handle that. I think the thing I heard, I don't know if it was the Vikings or the Rams, would just put a rooster in practice and try to chase a rooster around the week they played the Lions to let that simulate trying to tackle Barry. I was like, wow, they really just trying to chase a chicken around because that's what they're going to get on Sunday. And so that, when you hear stuff like that, that lets you know, or we don't even block this guy because, Barry's got that. Yeah,
he was just different, but that list,
it's the time
what
of year,
else are you
man.
gonna do in the? Yeah, there's nothing else on. There's nothing else to talk about. So, but to have no LaDainian Tomlinson, no Sean Alexander, but to have Mike Allstott, like no shade to Allstott, but that dude ain't. Maybe there is shade to Mike Allstott, but
I'm with you. I mean, yeah. I'm not putting him on that list. He had some great runs. He has, he was a good player for a long time for Tampa Bay, but I can't put him. I can't justify him being, he doesn't come to mind when I'm thinking top 25 though. That's no disrespect.
Yeah, but there's all kinds of lists out there, and it's usually just people. You ain't got nothing else to do. What are you gonna do during the off season? Try to get some engagement and all that kind of stuff. It's like when people come out with top wide receivers and got Jerry at 10, and I gotta get feisty.
Exactly.
That's the kind of thing that aggravates me, man. Y'all know Jerry Rice good. Why y'all doing like this?
Yeah, that's just slanderous stuff you see on these lists. Get our promo videos out here. We got a promo video for what you see when you go to Roku and check out BS3 Network. And they're featuring Black owned businesses. So this is room 5280. It will be a video about an escape room. So we'll play both of those. That way y'all watching can see what we're talking about. So we'll hit those and get them in right quick.
New and now open in Highland Village.
Hi, I'm LaTarsha.
And I'm JD.
And we are the owners of Room 5280 Escape Room here in Highland Village.
People always ask me, what is an escape room? Well, an escape room is a 60-minute adventure where you and a group of others are inside of a room and you're expected to solve the puzzles and everything inside of the room in order to escape. Here at Room 5280, we have 3 awesome themed rooms. There's the heist, where you actually break into a rich art collector's home, steal his money, and that's how you escape. We have the experiment. The experiment is actually my personal favorite. You conduct an actual experiment in order to escape from the room. And then there's the mystery, the Sherlock Holmes experience.
And in addition to those 3 themed rooms, behind this beautiful barn door, we have meeting rooms equipped to seat up to 30 individuals for your birthday parties, corporate events, bridal showers, or just a girls' night out. We also have a small intimate room that sits up to about 6 individuals that you can rent as well. And what sets us apart from some of the others is that we allow you to bring in your food and drinks for free.
So if you're looking for a great place for your next birthday party, your corporate team building event, make sure you try
Room 5280. And don't forget to book online.
Now cut that ribbon.
Cool stuff. You get the promo video from BS3 Network, all the podcasts we're a part of. Speaking of, too, Ben sent a message. The BS3 Awards are coming up in August. So, I don't know, that's some fun stuff. We got the award last time, so we'll see what kind of stuff they got in store in a couple months. And then Room 5280 is in Highland Village, Texas, which looks like 45 minutes outside of Dallas. So if I'm ever in that area, I have to go hit up the breakout rooms. Have you done the breakout room thing with a group of friends? The escape room? I said breakout room like it's on Zoom. Escape room. Have you done one of those before?
I have not. I'm trying to see the appeal.
Yeah.
But you go, you get out. Well, if I don't go, I'm already out. So what am I missing something here?
But I know they got some in Lexington. I think that's some. I know
they got some in Louisville.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have any here, but if they don't, they need to do a Children of the Corn thing, because that would. Now the corn maze is one thing. I'll do a corn maze, but escape room, I may try it once, but it doesn't appear to be my cup of tea.
Yeah. Well, congrats to the room 5280. So yeah, look like people down there
Oh
are
yeah.
hitting it up at Highland Village, Texas. So good stuff. And the cool promo video. So that was good as well. So appreciate that. Man, look, I saw you. What May is Mental Health Awareness Month, right? I saw you tweeting
That's
out and
correct.
putting on Facebook. And what did you tweet out that uh, when Robin Williams passed, that impacted you, like as far as celebrities? I thought Eric Alper put out a tweet and he was like, Robin
Yes.
Williams was the one that kind of hit you. And
Robin
speaking of
Williams
that,
was the one that hit me.
that was what Miss Doubtfire was on the other day. So we let the boys watch some of that because they hadn't seen it before. So they were cracking up with all the impressions and changing clothes and when where you got to go to dinner at Bridges as at both and try to get a job and meet go out on a date. Yeah, it's still hilarious.
I love that movie, but I can't watch it.
Hmm.
It honestly it makes me sad as a divorced dad myself. Not the
Hmm.
majority of the film because the hijinks are funny and Robin Williams is just doing the Robin Williams thing. The funny thing about that is, he was always improv, right? He was always kind of doing his own thing. And so all these different scenes in Mrs. Doubtfire, they're like different takes, obviously, that they didn't use. But apparently out there's they could have made an R-rated version because he went off like. So apparently, I need to try to find this. It's Mrs. Doubtfire, the R-rated version. I would definitely love to see that. But the part toward the end where everything comes undone, he gets found out. He goes in front of the judge, and
Mm-hmm.
he's talking about being crazy for his kids, and he just
Mm-hmm.
wants to see his kids, and it hits
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about fathers wanting to be involved with their kids. So I can't watch it without boohooing. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch it, but it's a and the thing about Robin Williams is he was a fine actor, probably one of the best actors America's ever produced. And I say that because he seamlessly could make you laugh, he could make you cry, and he could make you think.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the rare comedians that could go in between comedy and drama, and he was so fluid with it. Like you bought it, starting back from Dead Poet Society, and you're watching that one, which is a very heavy film, and you're like, this is Mork from Ork, right? Like this is, and obviously, Good Will Hunting, that soliloquy about his wife and farting and missing his wife, and I just really loved a lot of what Robin Williams was doing, and then come to find out, he had the same demons that I fight, that other people fight as well, and so uh, it just, yeah, his death impacted me. It was right around the time that I kind of had to come to terms with my own mental health struggles, and it's like if I don't, this is the road I'm going to go down. It was the first time I sat down when we were both, you and I were working at Wildcat Blue Nation, and I wrote, about my own issues, and I'm very open about it
Yeah.
because you have to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love Mrs. Doubtfire. Can't watch it, but I love the zaniness of Robin Williams, and probably, and this is, I'll put this out there. This is a quote from at the very end of the movie where he's talking about divorce. And honestly, I like Mrs. Doubtfire because most movies about divorce have a bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? The wife did something, the husband did something, and Mrs. Doubtfire is the rare movie where it's like sometimes it just doesn't work, and
Mm-hmm.
and that to me is more realistic than the husband is a jerk and the wife is a nag, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, but sometimes, and it sounds hokey, sometimes two people just aren't meant to be together.
Yeah, she was
It's
super serious, and he was always being silly, and that was,
right.
that was why he was fighting. She wanted
Right.
him to just grow up a little bit, and
And,
he wanted her to lighten up a little bit.
and despite what Paula Abdul told you, sometimes opposites don't attract. Like sometimes you can't be that polar opposite, you know. But this letter he was doing in character, and he said, some parents get along much better when they don't live together. They don't fight all the time. They become better people, much better mommies and daddies for you. Sometimes they get back together, and sometimes they don't. And if they don't blame yourself. There are all sorts of different families. Some live in separate homes, in separate neighborhoods, in different areas of the country. They may not see each other for days, weeks, months, or even years at a time. But there's love, dear. Those are the ties that bind, and you'll have a family in your heart forever. And that to me was a great lesson that we tried to pass on to our girls during the divorce. Is number one, this doesn't have anything to do with you, and number two, sometimes families change. So see, got me reading this. I'm choked because I do. It's a beautiful film. Yeah, it's the zany stuff, Robin Williams, but it's the message that about divorce that I think is fairly accurate. So, but back to what you said. Yes, it's May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah.
So you gotta talk about it, and
Mm.
I'm very open. And every time I'm like, man, ain't nobody listening. I'll post something, and I'll get a message. Hey TB, hey, and so that's why I do it because I think we get stuck with, well, why do you have to? What do you have to be sad about?
Mm.
And you see like a Robin Williams, you see these like, what do you have? Mental health don't discriminate, man.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. But I'm not gonna hijack the conversation. But yeah, I share that. Uh, May is mental health. September is suicide awareness. So I try to share my story and let folks know. And with the mental health, I'm very upfront with my girls. That's the
Mm-hmm.
key, is being very upfront with your friends and family. It's like, for me, it's like being a baseball pitcher, where you just know some days you just don't have your fastball ain't there.
Mm-hmm.
Your fastball ain't there. And if you can't work out with it, maybe you come out, you try it again, and that's been the biggest thing for me with mental health is there's no end date. Like if you break your wrist, the doctors know, hey, 6 to 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's how I started out. My journey was, I'm gonna fix this. Well, you don't fix it. You just keep fighting. So, uh, yeah, man, you got me rambling about that. Got me in my emotions. I love Mrs. Doubtfire, but I will not watch it. I'll be flipping. Come by it. Nope. I can't. It,
Mm-hmm.
it, it hits too close to home. Although I did watch it with the Big Miss and Little Miss fairly early on in the divorce, when my ex and I were trying to look. Divorce gets contentious, right? I tell folks, you remember when you broke up with somebody in high school and it was bad? Imagine doing that as an adult to somebody that you've been married. Like, so we were working out our ground rules, right? And Little Miss looked at me and she said, her plan was I could do like a Mrs. Doubtfire and come be their nanny so I could spend more time with them. I'm like, well, that's a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, but she thought that was a pretty good plan. But
Yeah.
again, I love some Robin Williams because his stand up full of energy. There's a great documentary on HBO about Robin Williams as well,
Mm.
the kind of stuff he had been dealing with uh, way back in the late '70s and all that kind of stuff. So
Mm.
yeah,
I
man,
like.
you got me rambling.
Yeah, I took the long way. Didn't mean to do all that, but some of the old stuff where he's on with Johnny Carson and stuff like that, just the back and forth with all that kind of stuff was hilarious too. But the reason I even brought it up is I took the long way because you mentioned, I saw where you said that when he passed, that kind of hit you. Bob Lanier passed away today, and for some kind of reason that kind of hit me. But This guy was born 1948, so he's a year younger than Kareem. And side note, 1947 had a lot going on. Of course, April 15th, Jackie Robinson breaks the color barrier. April 16th, Kareem is born. Lou Alcindor is born. So April of 1947, nobody knew Kareem was going to be Kareem at that point. But wow, that month and that year, a lot was happening. Bob Lanier, born 1948, passed away today. So he was 29. I was 30 years old when we were even born. Retired 1983, 84. We're in first grade, so didn't see his career. We didn't really, old enough to know what he was doing in the league. But when I saw he had passed, I was like, man, But all the stay in school stuff, all the hosting, the All-Star game festivities, all the stuff he did, president, the Players Association, all the stuff we kind of saw post career. And for some reason, I was like, man, it hit me more than I thought. It wasn't like I watched him play for his entire career like Kobe, because like he retired when I was 7, so I didn't even really see him play. Well, found out he passed away. I was like, man. And so I was listening to the Woj pod. I've never listened to Woj's pod, but he had Adam Silver on there, and then Marcus Johnson, who played with him in Milwaukee. They were going through, how he was an ambassador. To stay in school, travel the world. Skipped the '68 Olympics with Lou Alcindor. He did not go to Mexico City. We saw Tommy Smith and all those guys go. Lanier did not. Marcus Johnson talked about how if he played today, he would kind of be a lot like Jokic for Denver. He said after practice, it was nothing for him to beat Junior Bridgman in three-point shooting contest on the regular, as far as being able to step out and stretch out the floor like we see today. Bob Lanier was doing that in practice on the regular. He said, Marcus Johnson said, I could not beat him in tennis. He had those bad knees, but he would still get the drop shots and his quickness. So it was easy for them to see him being what Jokic is today if he played today, or if the game was like that back then. Woj went to St. Bonaventure, and they kind of had a shot at the title because of that year in between Kareem and Walton, but he hurts his knee, and St. Bonaventure, ends up losing to Artis Gilmore. So I wasn't really up on all of his college time, and then of course he gets referenced, in Airplane, because Kareem talks about dragging Lanier and Walton up and down the court for 48 minutes. But it just hated to hear about Bob Lanier passing away today. So that's why I went a long way around to talk about Robin Williams. I know I took the whole scenic route in what we've been talking about, but just hate to hear about Bob Lanier today.
Oh, absolutely. I saw that, and the Airplane reference was my first was the first place I went, simply because of that's how my mind works. But Bob Lanier, because I remember he had like the biggest shoes in the NBA for a while.
Yeah, 22.
Like that. That was his thing. So,
and
the
shoes are in the Hall of Fame, and there's a lot of coaches' offices, or you go in the office of the coach and they'll have a Bob Lanier shoe sitting on the desk, because it was just a legend of how big his foot was. They talked about that, and we mentioned the Bucks briefly last week, just talking about how they never could beat Philadelphia, never could beat Boston, but that was the Bob Lanier, Sidney Moncrief, Marcus Johnson teams that were good, very good. Win 50 games, win 52 games, 3-4 seed in the East or whatever, but, just kind of banging their head against the wall every year, because you had Bird McHale and Parrish and Dr. J and Moses Malone, Andrew Toney. They just couldn't crack through that ceiling.
Yeah, and there's so many good teams, and that's why, to me, it's very unfair to make championships the barometer for great players, because there were a lot of great players of that era that get overlooked because the Lakers and Celtics dominate.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's it's unfair. It really is. Now, as a Lakers fan, great. I'm glad there's as you can see the Lakers. There's books written about them. There's TV shows and movies made about the Lakers. But there were a lot of great teams during that era that just kind of get lost to the sands of time, and it's a shame. It really is a shame.
Yeah,
Because honestly, I saw this and I've had this theory. I don't know if you follow Rodimus Prime on Twitter, and he's had this thought for a while that I've expressed on Twitter, but maybe not on this show. And I will say Michael Jordan has ruined basketball. The idea of Michael Jordan ruined basketball. And what I mean by that is when he became the de facto face of the league, we collectively said, everybody's got to be like that guy. That's how you become that guy. If you smile, if you do it this way, that's not right because you got to do it like this guy. Where I think previous to Michael, it was you could appreciate players for who they were and not for who they are. Because since Michael retired in 98, every dude that's come through and thought about being the best, well, he's no Michael Jordan. Like it just took away our appreciation. The knock on Kobe, well, he's not Michael, but look at what he could do. And then obviously the LeBron MJ comparisons, but Steph is smiling as he's going to win 73 games and winning 3 championships. But yeah, he ain't got that killer instinct. He's not like Mike. And we just don't appreciate guys like we used to me.
Yeah.
Because if you are a great player, we automatically start talking about your legacy. I saw this, I don't know if it was ESPN or whatever, talking about what's Luka Doncic, what's his legacy? It's only year 4. Right? Like the tale hasn't been written. Like what are we doing? And if a person doesn't make that big enough leap, we just can't appreciate how these other players are individually. Where I think back in the 80s, at least, Dr. J was Dr. J. And like you could appreciate these people without, like, it was never when we were growing up, Bird, the Celtics and Lakers, it's not like they brought up what Wilt Chamberlain did. Like it never came up. Like we could appreciate David Robinson and Hakeem and Patrick Ewing and even a young Shaq without saying, well, Wilt score average 50 is like it never became, but it never. But we have made Michael Jordan, because what do you hear? 6-0. The dude played 15 years. Can we stop that? Like my whole thing is you don't have to embellish Michael Jordan for him still to be the best. Like you don't have to tell lies. His resume is what it is. And for people, well, Michael Jordan gave everybody the business. The Pistons sent him home 3 times.
Dope.
Like I was here for that. Well, he was no, like and our arguments aren't even coherent. When somebody scores a lot of points in a losing effort, what do we say? Oh, he's just a stat stuffer, right? Just stuffing that stat sheet. But yet we revere Michael Jordan going for 6-3 in Boston Garden, and they lost the game.
Sure did. Sure did.
Like it's okay. You don't have to lie, and that's the thing too, is that whole marketing thing. I've taken 1,000 last-second shots and I've missed. Like the dude wasn't infallible.
Yeah.
It's okay to say he's great, but what I can't, anyway, to wrap this all up, our appreciation for Michael Jordan has really caused us to overlook this young crop. And we're starting to do that now with, well, LeBron's not in these playoffs. What does that mean? It means we've got other stars to look at. Jobs, Devin Booker. the Suns look like they're poised. They play tonight. Oh, who plays tonight?
Yeah, it's I think it's Bucks and Heat and oh wait a minute, Warriors. It's
Bucks and
Warriors.
Celtics and Warriors and Grizzlies, right?
Yeah.
Like you can appreciate these guys for being unique. That's the thing that just gets me is we don't appreciate that. Now, Jokic being back-to-back MVPs, I know what the metrics say. I get that, but man, I just refuse to believe that Jokic is going to have 2 MVPs. Nash has got his 2 MVPs, and Shaq, for all that, has got 1.
That's crazy.
That to me is one of those. That's just weird, right? And you can go year by year on Shaq's career, and I don't think he was robbed of any. I can't think of a season like where he was actually robbed. Allen Iverson was really special that 01 season, right? The same way with Kobe. You can go year by year. Maybe Nash's second one could have gone to Kobe, maybe, but it's just weird. But again, that doesn't tell the whole story because Shaq was that dude. So Rudy Gobert, if this makes its way to you, you are not stopping Shaq. You're just not. You're just not.
No, not at all.
Back to the basket. Shaq was a force.
Did Embiid get robbed? I mean, Jokic did it this year. I know he's out in the first round, but no Jamal Murray, no Porter. He won't have one arm tied behind his back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Did Embiid get robbed? He had a great year too.
Yeah, but I think again when it comes to MVP, coming runner up, that still means there's only one dude better. Like I understand Embiid's going to be in his feelings, but my sympathy for Joel Embiid is pretty slim. When you go out of your way and you're the troll that he is, this is how it goes, dude. I don't know what to tell you, dog, but booty hoo. I mean, your whole shtick is to be a troll. And yeah, Embiid is incredible. And again, this is one of those things when you look around the NBA, like who should it have been? Maybe Embiid. I mean, Giannis was okay, but by Giannis's standards, but I can't look around the league and say anyone was specifically robbed. And it wasn't a situation where people just got tired of voting for Giannis. That's why Kareem's only got 6 and MJ's got 5, because people are like, we can't keep doing this. Like Kareem won 6, and like we can't keep doing this. I don't know if you saw this on NBA Twitter. We gotta let the kids stop getting on here. This person's whole thing was, yeah, Kareem was good, but Magic made him what he was. And I was like, before Magic left Michigan State, Kareem already had 5 MVP. Like Kareem was already an all-star like 12 times. He was first or second team All-NBA 9 times in that year or that decade before Magic came. Like, what are you talking about?
I didn't see that one.
Kids, man. And I love Magic. Magic is why I fell in love with basketball. Magic is why I'm electric. But Magic was great. But Kareem was already had a Hall of Fame career before Magic even left East Lansing.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. Don't. Like this is stuff that's you can Google this.
True. Yeah.
I can understand arguments like when you and I were growing up. I ain't checking out no encyclopedias. But like you can Google this from the comfort of your home and the palm of your hand. You can see Kareem was that dude. I'll fight on the Twitter streets or whatever. Kareem was underrated.
Very true.
He just is. Not his numbers or anything like that, but like the 6 MVPs, the player of the year, the National High School Player of the Year. There was a 15-year stretch where he was the MVP, the best player at the level where he was. 6 MVPs, 2 high school All-Americans, 3 NCAA. And the reason there's a gap, it was because he couldn't play as a freshman when he got to UCLA. That was the only year that he was not All-American, all anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, that is insane. Nobody's got that resume. Nobody.
Yeah, that's true. Unbelievable. So we got, who do we say tonight? Oh, Bucks Celtics.
We've got Bucks Celtics. But I've got Bucks up. They're up 30-26 right now. I'm looking at, and the Warriors and the Grizzlies, I think, are done without John Morant.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just a weird.
The Warriors, they don't look like they did. Yeah. So it's hard to know where he got injured. The Bucks are finally missing Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
Because Drew Holiday, I love you. He can't be your number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Holiday can't be your number 2. Because the game the other night, where it was fairly close, and like they went 3 straight possessions, Milwaukee did, and Giannis didn't touch the ball. That can't happen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for, we all NBA players, we're all in this together. But when you've got that guy gets the ball.
Yep. And, Tatum and Brown getting off, and now you are. They covered up, they masked having Middleton for quite a while, but maybe they recover tonight, but maybe they don't. Maybe they are just kind of running out of what he provided, and they can't mask it anymore.
Can Giannis go and be that Super Saiyan like he was in Game 6 last year's finals?
Mm-hmm. Gonna have to be.
If that's what it takes to get out of the East semis, that's a tough road to hoe for Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm no Boston fan. I want bad things to happen to Boston all the time.
No.
Period. I don't like Boston at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Boston Celtics fans. I'm saying it with my chest, Boston Celtics fans. Since 1986, y'all ain't nothing but the Dallas Mavericks with a little green leprechaun running around the building.
Mavericks made out of first round for the first time since 2011. So, hey.
Yeah.
Jason Kidd and Luka got that going for him. And, I mean, his legacy, that's just another stupid thing that we do just because, like you say, he's in year 4. That's the same thing we do every year after the NCAA tournament's over. You go to the way too early, rankings for next year. That happens every single year. Gatorade is Thursday for sure. After a hard day of mowing the lawn, and then jumping in here, you got to be thirsty.
That's right. Nothing quenches my thirst quite like Gatorade. Lemon lime's my favorite flavor. What's yours?
Cool blue,
but,
like the orange,
So I don't know. The Grizzlies, I think, are done. I think the Warriors. But the thing about the Warriors, they're not the same Warriors. No. If you watch Steph play, he's not the same dude. Now, this is not saying he's terrible, but he's not the same. And Clay, a very good player, but Achilles and ACL, not quite the same.
Mm-hmm. A lot to ask.
Where the Warriors front office did good with Jordan Poole and somehow convincing Andrew Wiggins to be good. Because I thought that dude was a lost cause.
He's just tapping into it now.
Yeah, and this sounds like I'm knocking him, but for a while there, he just looked like he was playing basketball just because he was good at it. Like, I don't really want to do this. Like, I'm part of this group project, but I'm really not all in. And now he looked like he wanted to play ball. So good for them. Losing Gary Payton, the second hurts. I've got Gary Payton, probably my top 11, top 12 point guards. I think Gary Payton, wildly underrated, particularly on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not underrated on the defense, but his defense gets underrated. He's a great playmaker, but his defense was incredible. That just popped in my head. But last night,
Two
the
blowouts
Heat,
last night.
the Heat beat the Sixers, and the Heat are a weird thing because I still don't know. Can Jimmy Butler be the best dude on a championship team? Like I know they made it to the finals against my Lakers a couple years ago with Jimmy Butler, and he put on a brilliant performance in Game 5. And then Game 6 rolled around, and he wasn't about that much. So I don't know the Heat, and Tyler Hero, 6th Man of the Year, Bam Adebayo's that dude, Pat Riley, the Godfather. I want to buy into the Heat, but I'm just not because the NBA is who's got the best dude, and generally the best dude wins. Like again, going back to your Rockets, and I'm being very nice with these Rockets things for you, but in 1994. Rockets versus the Knicks, Hakeem was better than Patrick Ewing. And this is not saying Ewing was trash, but Hakeem was just better. Like, we've got this dude that is better than your best dude.
Mm-hmm.
And probably, if you looked at the rosters, in 94, if you say Hakeem was the best and Ewing, you might go a couple more dudes before you pick another Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing about the Rockets and those championships is after Hakeem, it's just a bunch of dudes. Very, very good dudes, but just some dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm not, I know 95 they had Drexler, but that wasn't the same Drexler we saw in Portland.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, and then at 95 with Hakeem against Shaq, like Hakeem, I remember going into that, can he hold his own with Shaq? Because young kids, Shaq was that dude at Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I see this on the Twitter streets a lot, and it's y'all just think that Shaq and Charles Barkley are just former players that are yucking it up on the set. That's not the case. Like, Charles Barkley at 6'4", doing what he did as a power forward. You couldn't be a 6'4" power forward if you were playing small ball today.
Yeah.
And that dude went a decade 20-10.
Mm-hmm.
That is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
At 6'4". I remember when it hit me just how small he was in the 93 finals. Because we all knew Michael Jordan was 6'6".
Yeah.
Thanks to Nike and Gatorade and all that kind of stuff. We knew MJ's stats. And when they were there was a shot NBC did side by side, like it's a noticeable difference. And how is he rebounding?
Yeah.
How is he doing this? He's a freak.
Mm-hmm. He really was.
And just you young kids remembering Shaq on the Heat, Shaq on the Suns, and Shaq in Cleveland. And I always forget Shaq was in Boston for a hot minute. Like, I'm like, okay.
Uh-huh.
But I'm telling you, kids, Orlando Shaq and Shaq to about 01 for the Lakers, dude was different.
Yeah.
Dude was different.
Mm-hmm.
So Rudy Gobert, ain't no way.
No.
You see those clips of Shaq just getting like David Robinson off of him. And these are not small people. Look, I love Rudy Gobert. He's not a better defender than David Robinson. Stop.
Yeah. Or Mutombo.
Or Mutombo.
Mm-hmm.
No, Rudy. Just, I get it. You want to puff out your chest. You defensive player of the year. Shaq was different.
Yeah.
Well, you just bigger, but that's part of sports. Part of sports is you go against somebody bigger and stronger than you. That's the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you wasn't fast, yeah. What are you talking about? That's what sports is.
Mm-hmm.
Just got a physical advantage. Yeah, that's sports. Like, okay, but but Shaq was skilled.
Yep.
And I think people miss that a lot when they look at Shaq. Just like he was a skilled big man. He
Mm-hmm.
was quick.
Yeah.
He could pass.
Mm-hmm. He can handle it too.
The
Sure can.
outlier on that set is Kenny Smith.
Yeah.
Whatever Kenny Smith's getting paid by Turner, he need to say to Akeem. Because every now and then you can see it when Kenny Smith's talking about championship medal and all this kind of stuff. You can see it on Shaq and Charles's face, like, bro, you are only here because Akeem. Like, what are you talking about?
I was watching the little bit of I've flipped on YouTube just to look at some Bob Lanier stuff, but they had the NBA on TNT stuff popped up, and it was a couple years ago. I don't know if it was the banquet that they do for the MVP, where they did at the end of the year, but Jeff Ross was roasting Shaq and Kenny and Ernie and Charles, and Shaquille O'Neal is here, Charles Barkley is here, the other black guy on the show is here, and he said, and then he said, Kenny Smith. Kenny Smith. That's just a name Charles gives when he gets pulled over. My name is Kenny Smith. Kenny Smith played a season at North Carolina with Michael Jordan, and that's where the comparisons end. So he was killing.
And look, I'm not saying you've got to be elite because we've seen a lot of elite athletes go into broadcasting, and it doesn't work. It doesn't translate. Like it just doesn't.
Looking at you, Tom Brady, when you retire.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But like Magic Johnson, I love Magic, and Magic doing magic-y things is fantastic. But Magic as a coach, nope. Talk show host, nope. Magic doing the color on games, nope. Because kids, y'all make fun of the way he tweets. That was what he was talking about when he was the color guy. Well, if you put the ball in the basket, that's a 2-point shot. That's 2 points. Like
I'll never forget it. Who game is this? It's Michael Jordan's game. When Jordan took off, I was like, man, Magic.
Magic is doing too good.
You setting us back, bro. You setting us back a little bit.
Although he did have one of the funniest things I've heard on live television. He was doing the game with Dick Enberg, and I can't even remember the game. I need to try to find this clip. But Magic Johnson said, Dick, have you ever seen penetration like that? And there was like 5 seconds of silence as the game was going on before they composed themselves. They're like, yeah, Magic, this ain't for you. And that's fine. I love Magic. Magic doing magic things. When you got Magic doing documentaries and he's doing I'm with Magic. I'm with you, Magic. But outside of that lane, I just don't know. Look, I love Joe Montana. He's not interesting to me.
That's true.
Like he's just not. I watched an episode or a little bit of his documentary. It ain't doing it for me, Joe. You're Joe cool. Like his whole thing was, I don't really have a personality. And come to find out, that wasn't an act. He's just good at football, and that's fine. I love Joe Montana. Still got my Joe Montana say on football, 2 TB best wishes. Love Joe Montana, but no. I might watch a little bit of the Magic documentary. I get why he's doing it because he knew winning time was coming out. He's like, I got to get ahead of this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I get that, but Magic is I don't know. He's not interested.
Yeah.
Now, Tom Brady, go be a family man. Like
he can't. He don't want to. Whatever.
And that insane amount of money, that is insane for a guy that's never done this before. I mean, if I'm Tom Brady, yeah, I'm taking that money. Mm-hmm. I might be terrible at it. Is it guaranteed? Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Yeah, sure. But we have seen former players just aren't made to be in the media.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Rice, who you know,
Mm.
is my dude of dudes. It's Jerry and then Magic.
Yeah.
He was on, was it ESPN for a bit? Like he was, I was like, oh no, man. I forgot that Jerry's from like deep Mississippi.
Yeah.
Oh, no, come on. No, no.
Mm.
No, Jerry. This ain't working. This is not, no, this is not working for me. So just
Yeah,
because you're good at it doesn't mean you can talk about it.
that's true.
And as Tony Romo shows, you don't have to be that good at it to talk about it.
Yep. Exactly. I'm not even no rebuttal. No rebuttal. You know, I'm not even fighting. I'm not pushing back on that one.
But the thing that kills me about who's in the booth and who's not in the booth for these games is I've never once tuned into a game because of who was covering it. I don't know that people do that. I wasn't going to watch this game, but since Romo's doing it, I'll watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me,
John Madden was the last one. I mean, you knew you were getting Madden on a good one. That added to you're gonna
well,
watch the game anyway. But the fact, oh yeah, man, if I turn on the Cowboys, I'm like, oh yes, Madden Summerall on here. Yeah, So
and so I think with sportscasters, a lot of times, particularly on the NFL side, our brain gets wired to say, okay, this guy's great. And what you're saying is true. Madden Summerall were the NFC best game of the week.
mm-hmm.
So they got good games, good players, and that. But it's not like we tuned in for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And you see them retooling the Monday night booth every year or so. Monday night just needs to stop being objectively terrible. Like they need to flex games or do
Mm-hmm.
something. I can't remember the last memorable Monday night game.
And Thursday's even worse than that.
Thursdays is trash. NFL needs to stop all that. But
Mm-hmm.
paying all these guys all this money, and I've never once tuned in specifically because somebody was calling a game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, people will watch. It's like Kirk Herbstreit. No shade to Kirk, but he's doing the primetime ABC, ESPN game of the week. Like, so we're going to see him. We're going to see Chris Fowler because he's doing the championship semifinals and championship game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's just how it goes. The thing about sportscasters is, if you've got a bad one. Like, you got a bad one. I just don't think having a good one makes as big a difference as we think. Look,
Yeah,
Billy Packard had like 28 Final Fours in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time I'm replaying a Kentucky memory in my head, I got Billy Packard's voice running through it.
Yeah.
And so you remember the terrible ones. But so I don't know if nothing Tom Brady has done will convince me he's going to be good at this job.
Yeah. Let's see.
He's been very good at not saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't a situation where it's like the Peyton Manning broadcast.
Right. This is
A traditional, straightforward.
straight up. Yeah. Endless.
I don't know what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as easy as people think.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have talked about just doing this. It's not as easy as we think it is.
Right.
So I don't know. Good for him. Somebody gonna pay me $30 million a year. I'd give it a shot.
That's right. That's right.
I hope you're out there, ESPN. I'd give it a shot.
Uh-huh.
You can get this TV for half.
You see our guy, friend of the show, Matt Sack. You see his list the other day to the UK. Get a bucket, get a stop, make a three, get a rebound, make free throws, and get a 30-point game. List he put out there as far as UK guys. I think you saw it.
Yeah,
it's summertime,
without any parameters, it just leaned toward Cal guys. And if I need me a bucket, yeah, the thing about being, you're like, okay, who do I go to if I just needed a 2 point? And your Believe in Kentucky co-host Tony Delk would be on that list. Mashburn would be on that list. Dane Issel would be on that list.
Yeah, I put all them guys.
Yeah, if I absolutely need a bucket, I'd put Ron Mercer on that list for a dude to go get you a bucket.
Nope.
I'm looking up the rest of what he had. It was get a bucket,
Get a stop, make a three, get a rebound, make 2 free throws, and go for 30 in a game. So I had Issel and Mashburn. I couldn't put one over the other. I know you're supposed to put one. But I put Issel and Mashburn for get a bucket. Get a stop, AD. Make a three. I put my homie Tony Delk. Rebound after last year, how could you not put Oscar? So I'm kind of covering all the errors. Make 2 free throws. I mean, Kyle Macy is, the old heads. He pulled his socks up and and go for 30. I put Jack Givens. I mean, Goose had, according to BigBlueHistory.net, I think 6 30-point games in his career. The last game, of course, against Duke in the championship game, he scores 41. Saw some younger people putting Jody Meeks, and Jody had 5 in that junior season, including the 54-point game, the 45-point game. But he only had 5 for his career, and they were all in that one season. Goose had more 30-point games than Jody Meeks, and he had a ton of 26 and 28, 27-point games where he was right there at 30 points. I mean, another couple of buckets, Goose would have had 20 30-point games. He had like 20-something, 25-plus point games. So I put Goose for getting 30.
Yeah, get a bucket, as I talked about, get a defensive stop. I think of really good defenders. I think of Michael Kidd-Gilchrist would be on my list because that dude could just guard.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't. I know we've had some great defenders, but no one else really popped to my mind of being a defender.
Mm-hmm.
Make a three.
It's a big list.
Big
list.
Go Deron Lamb.
Mm-hmm. DA was 40% 3-point shooter at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Shea shot 40% his one season.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of dudes.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it's from the left-hand side, I'm going with Aaron Harrison. So, you get a rebound. Oscar, yeah. I mean, that seems fairly obvious because you got to go way back when. And no knock to those older guys. I would say things are a little bit different than back in those days. Pace of play was a little bit different. Make 2 free throws. Hard to go against Kyle Macy.
Yeah.
With that was kind of his thing. Go for 30. I think you had a good one. Givens, again, as a guy that gets overlooked, I would say I might go with Meeks.
Yep. Thought on Facebook, Goose said Goose was kicking himself for not betting on Rich Strike. Is that what the horse's name is?
Rich Strike, yeah, because of 21.
It was 21. He said, I can't believe I didn't bet on 21 horse. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
But and one final list too. We've been doing a lot of listy stuff today, but I know you saw I forget who it was, Field of 68, the Duke guys in the league against the Kentucky guys in the league. That was about as egregious as the Donovan Mitchell to Gobert alley-oop, comparing it to Shaq and Kobe.
Let me find this. Because I talked about it.
They tried. The Duke list, it tried. Bless their hearts.
Yeah, I don't know what I did with it now. But yeah.
I gotta hang on. I believe I can find it because I'm not as Twitter famous as you, so I don't have as much stuff to scroll through as you do.
Well,
I find it quick.
I get on here and I get bored. But
oh, come on.
Yeah, I got it. Here we go. So for Kentucky, the Kentucky versus Duke NBA players, Kentucky's got Maxey, Cat, Booker, Shea, Bam.
Mm-hmm.
So that means Anthony Davis is coming off the bench with Boogie and De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
And with Duke, they've got Zion, Brandon Ingram, Jason Tatum, Kyrie, and RJ Barrett. What? Now Tatum is becoming that dude,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Kyrie, well, can Kyrie play? If it's in Canada, Kyrie can't play. And if you're going to include Zion, that means we're just assuming everybody is healthy, right?
Yeah.
If we're assuming everybody is healthy, AD is starting with that 5.
Mm-hmm.
If we assume everybody's healthy,
Yo.
Kentucky wins going all out.
Mm-hmm.
And Drew Franklin, he responded, don't let Jamal Murray get healthy.
Yeah.
Exactly. So by this graphic, the bench is Anthony Davis, Julius Randle,
Yeah.
Jamal Murray. If we're going by and De'Aaron Fox.
PJ Washington, Tyler Hero. it's ridiculous. Keldon Johnson.
And Keldon Johnson, because the Spurs team isn't very good, but I've watched some of those games, and he's hitting those milestones on Spurs career list where there's only 2 names ahead of him for a lot of these things, and it's Duncan and Robinson.
And not the dude that played for the Heat. We're talking about Duncan and Robinson.
That's right.
As in Tim and David, not Duncan Robinson. Yeah.
Speaking of that, Tyler Hero is now going to be the 9th man on that squad. Well, come on, get out of my face, Duke. Get out of my face. I just, yeah. But we're reaching that part. Why somebody would do this in the NBA because the NBA playoffs are going on is beyond me. But it's egregious. It is just egregious. I can tell. That's why I love watching these games. Maxey has had his moments in the playoffs. I think he's thriving more than I believe you and I thought he would with Harden.
Yeah, for sure.
Houston Harden is gone.
Yo.
We're not going to see that again.
Flash every now and then is it. That's it. He gave you a flash the other night whenever they won their last game. But that's it.
And the thing is about athletics, it's not usually a steady decline. There's a drop off.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can we were talking about running backs earlier. You can see there's that 1 year where it just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And it fools you, particularly in basketball, when you can see these guys and they look the same. But Harden is not the same that he was when he was at his peak. And that's okay. The question is for Philadelphia, what can they do with a healthy Embiid and with Harden being your number 2 and Maxey being your 3? Or is it the kid that played Tobias Harris?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Windows gonna close soon.
And again, as I keep saying, we just assume that talk about the Lakers. Lakers won the trade to get Anthony Davis, but the process, and you can chalk it up to bad luck and all that kind of stuff, but this is a results business.
Yep.
And the result is, with all this with Embiid, you're not even going to get, most likely not even going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals when he's at his peak.
Yep. That's a real scenario, potentially. Sure is.
Yeah. And again, to not be a LeBron stan or whatever the young kids are saying, dude wins chips where he goes.
Yeah, he does.
We could debate maybe he would have won one more if he did this thing differently, but to me that's pretty remarkable.
It is. We had a pretty remarkable show, if you ask us, and hopefully y'all think so when y'all watch and listen. And Anchor, Spreaker, if you listen, wherever you listen to them. If you watch on Roku, this will be up here on there shortly as well, on YouTube, all kinds of different ways.
Pivot to video, baby.
Yeah. Camille Gear and Muhammad Ahmed next week. And shout out to our guy, JR the Boss Man. He had to have some surgery, and you know how you feel. If anybody's had some surgery, you don't feel great for quite a while till you get yourself recovered. So he is feeling a little bit rough. So he came on here twice, came on during March Madness, chopped it up with us about the playoffs a couple weeks ago. So hope you're able to rest and recover and get your strength back and get feeling good, JR, the Boss Man. We pulling for you, man. Appreciate you, TB, coming in, mowing the lawn, fighting allergies, thirsty, drinking Gatorade, sniffling through and pushing through and coming in here and dropping knowledge like you always do, man. I always appreciate it. Been having fun with this thing for 9 years and got more fun on the way. So hope y'all enjoy what we're trying to do. So we'll put a bow on it now. Y'all follow us on Facebook, Cats Talk Wednesday, Twitter as well, and watch us on Roku. And proud to be a part of BS3 Network and all that good stuff. And we'll put a wrap on this one, and we'll see everybody this time next week. For my man TB, this is Vinny Hardy with another episode of Cats Talk Wednesday. Appreciate y'all watching.